Hello, story lovers. Welcome to Jessica's Story Corner, where every tale has a touch of magic. I'm Jessica, and today we're diving into a heartwarming adventure titled The Tale of Mr. Harold's Enchanted Shoe. So, find your comfy nook, and let's embark on this charming journey together. Once upon a time, in the quaint and charming village of Cloverfield, nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived an old man named Mr. Harold. Mr. Harold was a figure of legend in the village, known for his long, silvery beard that shimmered like moonlight, his eyes that sparkled with stories untold, and his vast collection of shoes. Shoes for every occasion, you see. From sturdy boots for trudging through fields to elegant slippers for evening soirees. From rain boots that kept out the fiercest of storms to sandals that whispered summer's secrets. His home was a veritable museum of footwear, each pair with its own tale, a testament to his love for adventure and his zest for life. The villagers often said that if Mr. Harold's stories were shoes, he would have enough to pave the roads of Cloverfield twice over. One particularly bright and sunny morning, with the sky a canvas of blue and the birds singing melodies of spring, Mr. Harold decided to enjoy the day with a leisurely stroll through the village square. The warmth of the sun kissed his cheeks, the fragrance of blooming flowers filled the air, and the gentle rustle of leaves sang a lullaby of peace. Mr. Harold chose his favorite pair of shoes, soft brown leather ones that creaked with every step, sounding like a chorus of tiny crickets. He set off with a spring in his step, greeting everyone he met with a warm smile and a hearty, "Good day." His walk was not just a journey through the village, but a parade of cheer, leaving behind a trail of laughter and good spirits, his shoes echoing tales of old. As he reached the heart of the village, where the ancient oak tree stood, its branches sprawling wide like nature's own umbrella, Mr. Harold decided to rest for a spell. He settled down on a weathered bench under the tree, leaned back and closed his eyes, letting the gentle breeze tell him tales of distant lands. It was a moment of peace, of connection with the world around him, where time seemed to stand still, and the worries of the world melted away like morning mist. But when he opened his eyes after his brief rest, he was met with a sight that turned his smile into a frown. One of his cherished brown shoes was missing. He searched around frantically, under the bench, behind the tree, in the grass, but alas, his shoe was gone. With a heavy heart, Mr. Harold stood, wondering if he'd ever see his favorite shoe again, feeling the absence as keenly as one might feel the loss of an old friend. Just then, a soft, playful giggle came from above. Mr. Harold looked up, and there, perched on the lowest branch of the oak, was a mischievous squirrel, his shoe clasped securely in its tiny paws. "Well, Mr. Squirrel," Mr. Harold called out with a chuckle, "might I have my shoe back, please? It's quite dear to me." The squirrel, with a twinkle in its eye, seemed to consider his request. Then, with a nimble leap, it scurried down the tree, placing the shoe gently at Mr. Harold's feet. But before Mr. Harold could extend his thanks, the squirrel dashed off, leaving a trail of acorns behind as if to say, "Here's a little something for your trouble." Mr. Harold laughed heartily, his heart light once more. He put his shoe back on, feeling a sense of adventure had touched his day. He understood then that even in the simplest of moments, there could be magic and wonder. From that day on, Mr. Harold was not just known for his collection of shoes, but also for the tale of the missing shoe. Each time he went for a walk, he'd keep an eye on his shoes, but he'd also look forward to the surprises that life might bring. And every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mr. Harold would sit by his fireplace, surrounded by the village children, weaving the story of the lost shoe into their imaginations. He taught them that sometimes losing something can lead to finding joy in the most unexpected ways. But the story didn't end there. One day, as he was recounting his tale, the children suggested they make their own story, inspired by Mr. Harold's adventure. They decided to have a shoe hunt day in Cloverfield, where everyone would hide one shoe from their pair and then set out to find them, turning the village into a playground of laughter and camaraderie. The Shoe Hunt Day became an annual tradition, celebrated with great enthusiasm. The villagers would decorate their homes with shoelaces and shoe-shaped cookies, and the square would be filled with laughter and the joy of discovery. Mr. Harold, now the unofficial mayor of Mischief, would lead the hunt, his eyes twinkling with delight as he watched the young and old alike scamper around. He would recount his story each year, adding new details, new characters, like the squirrel who became a symbol of playful surprises, or the tree that was said to whisper secrets to those who listened closely. This tradition brought the village closer together, teaching everyone the lesson of loss and recovery, of how something as simple as a shoe could lead to a community's heart beating in unison. It was during one such event that Mr. Harold noticed something extraordinary. The children had started to pair up, not just shoes, but friendships, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. They learned to value not just the material things, but the moments, the laughter, the shared stories, and the joy of giving back what was taken, much like the squirrel had done. As years passed, the legend of Mr. Harold and his shoe grew, becoming more than just a story. It turned into a symbol of Cloverfield's spirit of resilience and joy. Mr. Harold, growing older but never losing his zest for life, watched as the village changed, new generations taking up the mantle of the shoe hunt, each adding their own chapter to the tale. He would often sit by the oak tree, now known as Harold's Oak, reflecting on how a simple walk had turned into a legacy, how losing a shoe had given him and his village so much more in return. But the tale of Mr. Harold's shoe did not stop at the village's borders. Word of the tradition spread to neighboring towns, and soon visitors would come from far and wide to participate in the shoe hunt day. This influx brought new stories, new shoes, and new friendships to Cloverfield, enriching its culture and connecting it to the wider world. Each year, the event would grow, with tales of shoes lost and found becoming part of a larger narrative of community, adventure, and serendipity. Mr. Harold, in his twilight years, would sit under Harold's Oak, his shoes now replaced by a pair of soft, woven slippers, watching over the festivities with pride. He would share stories with the children of how a simple shoe could inspire a community, how a moment of loss could lead to a lifetime of gain. And as the sun set on another shoe hunt day, casting golden hues over Cloverfield, Mr. Harold would smile, knowing that his story, like the shoes he loved, would walk through time, leaving imprints on the hearts of many. And so, Mr. Harold and his shoes lived happily ever after in Cloverfield, where every lost shoe could mean the beginning of a new tale, where every day was an opportunity for wonder, and where the squirrel in the oak tree might just be waiting to play another trick or offer another gift. Thus, the story of Mr. Harold and his magical shoe became a thread in the rich tapestry of village life, woven with laughter, lessons, and love, reminding all who heard it that the smallest of things can lead to the greatest of adventures. And so we reach the end of The Tale of Mr. Harold's Enchanted Shoe. I hope this story has brought a little magic into your day, just as it did for Mr. Harold in Cloverfield. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more stories from Jessica's Story Corner. Until next time, keep your shoes close and your hearts open to the wonders around you. See you in our next story.